Okay, I'm kind of new to this, so I'm going to try a vertical video, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, so that's great. What I wanted to talk about today was that bloody awful phrase that people roll out, and it's so trite, and it's that one that's like, oh, no one's going to love you until you love yourself. And it drove me wild for years and years and years. One, because it's like, okay, great, so I don't love myself and now I'm feeling depressed, and also no one else is gonna love me because that's how shit the world is. And then number two, of course, like, how do I love myself? Like, what is this love self that you speak of? Like, you know, do I buy myself roses? Do I take a bath? Like, do I give myself good sex? Like, how do I love myself? These are all possible ways, by the way, but it's just not really getting to the root of the problem. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, to clear up like a tiny, and I'm gonna do my hair at the same time, of course, to just clear up like a tiny bit of misunderstanding about this thing. So people are going to love you even if you don't love yourself. Like, controversial statement, but human beings who don't love other human beings are quite rare. We do a lot of other shit too, like, don't get me wrong, but like, we do quite like loving. Like, we're wired for connection, right? So we all do fundamentally want to love and be loved. It's statistically unlikely that you're not going to be loved. Okay? And I get that, like, that might feel hard to swallow. And this is the problem, right? Like, because if you don't love yourself, it's not that other people aren't gonna love you, it's that you're gonna struggle to recognize it, and you're gonna struggle to let it in. And I'm pausing there because it's such a big deal, and it has been so hard for me and it's ongoing, right? So hard for me to make progress with both of those things. Like, how do I see what's loving, and how do I receive it? How do I let some of that love in? I'm gonna come back to that in a second, but like, the problem is too that if we don't love ourselves, it's not just that we don't recognize when other people are being loving, and we struggle to let that love in and that support in and feel good and feel nourished. Like, you know, it's like food, that stuff. We struggle to let it, we struggle to see it, we struggle to let it in. We also struggle to recognize what's unloving. And this is where it can get a bit dangerous, because we don't know what's unloving, because we don't know what loving is, right? And this is not our fault. This is no blame, not our fault. Like, we have some very strange conceptions of love out there, and many of us grew up in homes where there were many strange ideas of love too. And so we don't recognize what unloving is either. And so that means that, like, we accidentally invite people, situations, places, experiences into our lives, into our inner sanctum, whatever that might mean to you, into our bedroom, right? That was where my head was going. We accidentally invite dragons into our house, and we say, like, hey, can I get you a cup of coffee? Can I get you a cup of tea? And we play that game too. So we can't see what's unloving. We can't see people that are being unloving. And we might even think that it's loving, right? So that's the problem. It's not that nobody's gonna love you until you love yourself. It's that we're not going to be able to recognize it. We're going to struggle to let it in, and we're going to get hijacked by unloving people, places, things, and situations, which is going to take us further down. And I don't know if you can relate to that. Am I the only one having these experiences? I'm not special remotely, but so that's a problem. And then I guess the problem is, and I might make a longer video on this, which is like, how do I love myself? But I just want to say 3 things on that now. And I guess the first one is, don't panic that you don't love it. Don't judge yourself for not loving yourself, right? Like, it's okay. It's okay that you might not love yourself, that you might think that you're unworthy, you might feel unworthy, that you don't feel good enough, and you don't know how to get there. And I say that because, like, the best way to start is just where you are, right? And one definition of love is acceptance. One definition of love is attention without judgment. So if you are struggling to love yourself, just start where you are, look around and see if you can give yourself some attention to where you are without judgment, all right? Like, see what your thoughts are telling you. Notice them, don't judge them, okay? They might be very unloving. Me too. And so just notice that first. And then the other thing is, like, if we're on thoughts, like, are you imagining things that feel bad? So one of the things that I've discovered that is really super loving for me is to not just imagine the worst case scenario. And I know I'm imagining worst case scenario because it feels bad. I feel bad. And I'm like, is this happening? No. Oh, but maybe I should think about this happening so I can plan for this, and that would be a really good idea. No. All that happens is, like, if that thing happens, I'm so worn down by, like, the fact that I've been living in that crappy situation for, like, I don't know, however long, that, like, I struggle to then handle it. But my head tells me, like, oh, that's great. You imagined that situation, therefore that was a really helpful thing to do, to live in hell for 6 months until, like, the hell eventually arrived. And it turned out was not as bad as you think anyway. So if I think of worst case scenario, I try to also think of best case scenario as well. Think of the thing that I want to happen. Otherwise, like, all I know is all the things in my life that I don't want to happen. I don't actually know what I want to happen. And just a collection of knots. Knots and don'ts. Which, aside from not feeling very good for me, also makes me, like, not a very fun person to hang out with. So yeah. So that's the first thing. Like, what am I thinking about? Is it making me feel good, or is it giving my body chronic stress? Because say, like, if I'm thinking the whole time, oh, I wonder if he's cheating on me, or I wonder if I'm going to lose my job, or I wonder if my boss hates me, like, that's gonna make me feel like shit. And it might even give me IBS as well, you know? Like, not IBS, but it might give me anxiety stomach. So it doesn't feel good. That is not a loving thing to do. So just watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts, attention without judgment. And then, like, are you looking at what you do right as well as what you do wrong? That's a really important one too. And I want to make, like, a longer video on, like, you know, what it might mean to love yourself. But I think really what it has come down to for me, loving myself, is space and permission to be human. And know that like living is a practice. You don't have to like get it right away. And to recognize my humanness and to recognize everybody else's humanness, and that we're kind of just like learning on this earth school together. And so like I'm not gonna know how to love myself right away. But what I can look at is what feels good to me. And when I say feels good, I don't mean feels good as in like, it can sometimes be this, but like I don't mean what feels good as in like if I have 10 pizzas, but I won't feel good if I have 10 pieces. But I'll come back to that one because this is like much longer. But main thing what I want to say is like, you are still going to be loved even if you don't love yourself. That's okay. And it's a process. So yeah, thanks guys. Bye.